You're listening to the And I Quote podcast brought to you by Coterie Insurance.
So right now, I think there's this is a wild, wild west for AI. I approach it as hiring maybe a writer off of Upwork that isn't a subject matter expert.
We will be bringing you conversations with industry influencers and experts discussing a variety of topics focused on our theme, because relationships matter.
Now let's dive in.
Hi, Nick. So great to have you today on the And I Quote podcast. And I'm really excited just to get to share your vision and the work that you're doing with our audience. But why don't you just start out by introducing yourself and talk a little bit about Better Agency and kind of your overall vision and strategy within the organization?
Sure. So my name is Nick Berry. I'm the marketing operations manager here at Better Agency. You know, our view on what we're trying to do is we're to improve the independent insurance agency's life, owner's life, and their staff. Having one thing the last 6 years in the broker tech space, one thing I've seen is everybody's tools are so fragmented from getting data in to what you do with the data to sending emails, sending text messages, sending proposals. Like there's a reason. So we acquired Neoteric Agent shortly before I started with the company because that's one of those pieces that we're missing to make the agent and the producer and the CSR's life easier. Even all the Accord form work we've been doing, all of those things making everybody's life easier, I think is kind of our approach. Our big goal for the company is to help insurance agents sell $1 billion in premium.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that with a fragmented set of tools. I think it's an attainable goal, and it's one of those goals. One of the reasons I came to work for the company.
Well, and it's funny that you talk about the fragmentation of tools, because that's something that's been an issue for independent agents long before InsurTech was a word, right? And now we have all these other new tools that are even making things even more fragmented. Can you talk a little bit about just the work of Better Agency and like how you actually attempt to help agents like defragmentize and maybe more centralize these tools to help them get to that $1 billion mark?
Yeah. One of the approaches is having a sales-driven CRM and AMS. So traditionally AMSs, everybody knows they're just like digital filing cabinets. What are you going to do with the data? Okay, cool. We have all this information. We have all of the information we know to produce a quote. Well, how are we going to put that quote into a bindable system? And that's kind of our goal is have a quote just have a system where a lead can come in, a prospect can come in, no matter how you generated it. Purchased lead, it's an inbound lead, it's a cold calling lead, it's somebody called into the agency, and make it easy for your CSRs, your producers, and even the agency owners to go, okay, cool. That was a great conversation. Let me get a quote to you and have one system where it's all done. And then the follow up, and then the serve. One of the things I really geek out about is our service center, being able to automate claims processes and let people know where they are in the claims process, because that's the value of what an independent insurance agent really is. Anybody can go down the street and get insurance from anybody, but the value for an independent insurance agent I see is the service and the human touch of insurance. What happens when the worst thing happens? I just got bit by a dog last week.
Oh,
Dealing with the claims of that company is not fun.
are you okay? Let's just
Yeah, I'm
start there. Are
fine.
you okay? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. It was just a dog doing what dogs do, and I'm not even mad at the owner. It's like that's what dogs do, but like the claim of it, okay, cool. I haven't heard of I have to do all the chasing down to get this claim through. That's not how this should work. So that's what having those, and the renewal center, the renewal pipeline tool, if you can automate and make that easier for people, you will have a customer for life.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about this concept? So many times when I speak with an independent insurance agent, they talk about how their value prop is how they service their policyholders. And I think you're kind of going down this path just before, but like talk a little bit about how the definition of servicing policyholders is changing with the tools that we have in front of us, and how independent agents might need to kind of have their own transformation into leveraging those tools so their revenue, right, and their cost model
Right.
and expenses can remain profitable.
Right. Well, from just a consumer side of it, just approaching it from the consumer side of, okay, my renewal's coming up. Where do I get all the information?
Yeah.
Okay, I need an insurance card. I bought a new car. I want to make sure I have my insurance card in my car or in my phone. Like in Iowa, we can use digital insurance cards now. Having my insurance card, I'm like, okay, cool. Where do I go get that? Oh, are you just going to send me a link to a carrier?
Yeah.
Like having those, there's some really cool tools that ride on top of AMS and CRM tools that I really like. I think Glovebox and Insurance Agent app and all these other insurance apps are a value add for insurance agencies that everybody should be taking advantage of.
Yeah. I love it. And I think just the work that you guys are doing, right, just to kind of nudge agents in that
Mm,
direction and start taking advantage of these tools is really important to drive our industry forward, and quite frankly, to keep agents relevant
yep.
with the just the changing expectations around experience. Can we talk a little bit about email marketing and
Yeah.
automation? That's sometimes scary for independent agents. Like, where do I start? How do I leverage this? How do I kind of use email marketing and automation as a tool to help grow my agency? Speak to that a little bit, if you would, Nick.
So I usually approach email marketing as there's a handful of buckets where things need to go. So if you're starting from a prospect or a lead, having a, not necessarily a drip campaign, because that's kind of a scary thing, because drip campaigns like a nine. I have a drip campaign that's 17 emails long. That's a scary proposition. If you're not a writer, if you're not, but having a quick, somebody signs up for a quote request, sending what I call an indoctrination campaign, which is a couple of emails that just say, hey, this, and setting the expectations up front are super easy. They don't have to be a 1,700 word email like I sent out last week. It can be it can be just a, hey, this is what you're going to expect in email and text, and you just improved their experience there. Just that's just the first bucket. Then once the quote happens, once you get the quote and you send it to them, having a handful of next step emails, what to expect, what we need from you through automation, knowing what they need and what your agency needs to get the quote to the next stage is super helpful. And then once you have them as a customer, staying in front of them and just being present is the most important thing. I say this and I get a lot of flack from other marketers. Once you have somebody on your list, the content of what you send is almost irrelevant. And no marketer likes to hear that, but it's being present in their inbox and in their social media feed, and sending text messages and stuff like that consistently is what's going to get you more customers and help you keep your customers longer. So most people get hung up on this. I need to have 72 pieces of content to send. No, you just need to have some check-in emails, and you need to have, like I said, some expectations, setting expectation emails, and then even if somebody cancels, put them in a campaign. Like then you start creating the big content pieces that you send out over time.
Nick, do you have an opinion? This is interesting. I like this contrarian view to content. Do you have an opinion on use of video versus non-video, calls to action within email content? Like, where's your head at there?
I love video. I struggle with creating video. I'm not like Nick Ayers, our CMO. He is a video machine.
Yeah.
He loves so it's. I've always approached content of marketing, any marketing content, is where you're most comfortable. I'm a writer. I love writing. I didn't used to be, but I've gotten to this point to where I literally, like, 2 weeks ago, I sent out a 1,798 word email to my list for my personal newsletter. Um, that's where I'm most comfortable. So I'm going to write emails. If you're comfortable on video, and maybe if you want to get better at video, and that's the thing, like why I have a newsletter is I want to get better at this. So I'm doing this consistently. So there's really cool resources. There's Loom, which you can create a video library of things. So the same thing, setting expectations, what you need them to do, or what they need to do with that proposal, whatever. You can create those videos, drop it in an email, and it's just a link. You don't even have to get fancy. You don't have to have it embedded and do all this. Here's a video I shot for you.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, and then, so I imagine out of all of these campaigns and email marketing efforts that you guys are doing, like there's a lot more data that we can collect today than we could even 5 or 10 years ago. So you want to talk a little bit about like, how do you take that data, analyze it, and then morph that into actionable insights that actually change maybe how you set up a new campaign or how you're engaging with a certain audience?
Right. So I am consistently looking at things like our open rates is a kind of I don't worry too heavily about open rates. My metrics that I measure myself on are click through rates and response rates. So
Yeah.
what I do is every month I go through all of our campaigns that we send, and this is the same thing anybody can do who's using email marketing, is go through your campaigns you sent and look at your open rates. Open rates is kind of a leading metric. It'll kind of tell it'll give you it'll get you down the path, and then start looking at how many people are responding, how many people are clicking links, how many people aren't, um, and and then you have to making some assumptions of why, are they opening, which is there's a couple of tricks to email open rates. It's really not about the subject line, it's about who's sending. Like my opinion is it's about who's sending the email. So I always tell insurance agents, don't send from role-based email addresses. Don't
Yeah.
send it from sales or marketing or support. Send it from a person. Send it from Joey at, from John at, from Sherry at, whatever. Send it from a person and make sure the all the stuff is set up. What I do with our team is it's first name, last name, and then a hyphen or two brackets to break it up, and then better agency. So they
Yeah.
know it's our sales rep at it's Katrina at Better Agency. So that's what's showing up in their inbox. So they see it's not just a company name, it's a person. But looking at, are we sending from people? Are we getting open? Are people opening our emails? And then what are they doing once they open the emails? And then just kind of going, okay, this email didn't work very well. Let's test some things. Let's change the subject line.
You talk a little bit about A/B testing with subject lines and like how much of A/B testing should you do? Like when do you change subject lines to get more like it's almost like a test and learn type of thing. But I also think some agents get um, they they get discouraged too quickly versus being persistent
Yeah.
with trying some new things out.
I have a ton because we don't have an opportunity to send a ton of emails based on the campaigns that we use. So I usually use time frames. So I usually
Okay.
say, how did this work this month? And give it 30 days. If you're only sending 100 emails to that list, you're not going to have a statistical analysis that you can lean on. But after 30 days, you can get a gut check. You can go, okay, these are like let's test the subject line. Let's just change it. Let's try it. Here's my secret. If anybody, when you're listening to this, use song lyrics
I like it.
or words that match the beat of a song lyric. It's a psychological. I have one. I'm not gonna share it because we're actively using it, but we have one. It gets last time I looked, it was a pretty high open rate, but the goal of it is to get it open and responded to of that
Yeah,
specific email. And it's like a 60% response rate
that's
on
fantastic.
a, and it's a kind of a breakup email. So it's like a seventh email they've gotten.
I love it. It's almost, well, most people, almost everyone relates to music in some fashion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like getting at the feels of
Mm-hmm.
people to be more curious, like, ooh, this invoked a feeling because of the subject line is a song lyric, and so I'm going to open it and start to engage. Yeah,
And our brains don't even realize we're doing it.
yeah, it's
That's what
fantastic.
I spend a lot of time reading psychology.
Yeah,
Human psychology has driven my career much further than data analysis. Understanding how and why humans do things will get us much further.
I agree. Which kind of takes me into like the next fun and kind of scary subject on AI, right? Like artificial intelligence mimicking human behavior, being able to predict what we're going to say, and also being able to kind of do some of our, I would say, more intellectual work for us.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about, like, are you guys using Chat GPT yet? What are your feelings on how AI might change the way we market within our industry, and maybe even the roles of the independent agent moving forward?
So right now, I think it's the wild, wild west for AI. Everybody's kind of figuring out what tools they like, what works. I used Jasper, their whatever. I don't remember the first version. It was like Conversion AI. They renamed it, and then they got threatened. They got threatened by Disney, so they had to change it again. It's now Jasper. I had the boss mode level account for 2 years. I canceled it
Yeah.
because ChatGPT. I have so much. I have enough experience with Jasper to know and understand how to how to create a prompt. I'm actively using it. I don't condone going and just creating raw content and copy pasting it out into a blog post, into video content. And it's kind of like I approach it as hiring maybe a writer off of Upwork that isn't a subject matter expert. I can write a lot of content about insurance because I have 6 years of experience. I talk to insurance agents all the time. I can create content that I feel comfortable with that is on point because I consider myself a subject matter expert in this thing. Insurance agents could do the same thing. They can go look at carrier content. You know, a lot of carriers put out content and they literally beg agents to share the content they
Yeah.
produce because they spend a lot of resources, time, money, and energy on creating this content. But and most agents I talk to won't share it because it's the carrier's content. Like I wouldn't share content from one of my vendors as a B2B SaaS company. I wouldn't just go and share Gong's content in my email marketing. But if I see something that I like and it clicks in my brain and I think my audience, I'm going to go, okay, that's a cool idea. What's my spin on it? We've been doing everybody, all of us marketers have been doing this for the entirety of marketing. You see somebody else's idea and and basically go, okay, this is my take on it. Agencies should be doing the same thing. You guys, like carriers, put out good content. It's carrier content, and it's got to pass legal. It's got to pass everybody. So it's not going to be in the voice of the agent, but they can take that content and go, "That's a good idea. What's my approach on it?" And then use AI to give them an outline. This is my process. Nick creates a video. Okay, he creates these awesome videos. I grab the transcript. I feed it into ChatGPT and say, "Give me some bullet point. Give me the key takeaways in a bullet format." Cool. I read through those bullets. Hey, I read through the transcript. It's not. I listen to the video. I read the transcript, so I understand the concept. Read the bullet points. Grab the bullet points and tell it now. Give me an outline for a blog post based on those bullet points. Gives me a blog outline, and then based on my experience as a writer, I can go in and fill in knowing the content because I know the content already because I've listened to the video 6 times. I've read the transcript. I've read the bullet points. Now I can put my spin on what Nick said. So now we've got 2 pieces of content. We've got a video, we've got the blog article, and now I'm going to also write an email on that. So we have an email to go out to our list, driving them instead of driving them to YouTube, driving them to our website with the YouTube video embedded in it. So we're getting all of the pieces and distribution, and that's the process I think anybody can do. And that's the what's happening right now.
Yeah. Well, and you're basically taking I'm going to figure out how to leverage this tool to work smarter and faster and more efficient,
Hmm.
but not become this robotic voice of the chat GPT that's just
Oh
spitting out
yeah,
information.
yeah.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT, all of the AI tools, and the thing I don't like, I try to write at a fifth to sixth grade reading level. Um, I have I have my own kind of Turing test that I use on content. I literally read it out loud before I hit publish. If I stumble, I stop and I rewrite that section and go through the whole thing. Like that 1,800-word article, I did that, and I'm sure my wife got really tired of listening to me say that article out loud as I went through it. Um, but that's the process. That's and having that, and then the more you do it, the better you get. And then the better you get, the more content you're going to feel comfortable producing. And that's the struggle, I think, with most agents is they struggle with creating content in their voice.
Yeah.
It is scary. It's scary. Like I launched this newsletter on my own because I want to get better. And it's scary to go, oh, I want to put this out there for the whole, and anybody can find it. I understand that. I don't even think the newsletter is just my approach to testing stuff to see what works and what doesn't.
I love it. Well, I think the concept of AI is probably overwhelming and scary for a lot of independent agents, right? So if you're suggesting like how do you dip your toe in the water and just start to play around with it, like what would you suggest to an agency who's never touched it and isn't super high tech today?
That's the awesome thing about it is their approach with OpenAI's approach to it is it's a chatbot. We've all used chatbots. And that's the cool thing is I taught my 9-year old how to use it. Like I
Yeah.
said, hey, I said this is what I do. I just showed her what I do, and then we were on vacation. It was kind of a gross rainy day, and this was just a few weeks ago. And I said, okay, here you go, and just play around with it. And she had I wish I delete because it was just pages of, but she had it writing basically fanfic of one of the comic books that she reads.
That's awesome.
And so she just I didn't like that. And I said, okay, well, this is what you do. This is how you tell it. So you just go in and play with it, and it's free to try. If you're trying to use it during the day on a free account, you're good luck.
Yep. I've noticed that too. You got to wait till the evening to actually
Yeah,
like
yeah.
get through.
But
Yeah.
what's like just going in and playing with it? What's the worst that's gonna hurt? You're gonna okay, I don't like this. Well, okay, what don't you like about it? Tell it to do something else. And
What's the most entertaining thing that you've done with AI at this point, like personally or professionally? Like where you were
um,
like, wow, this is cool, or it
I
made you laugh for hours, or the story
um,
that you tell.
so I when I first so I have this dad joke website that I always start a winter project always every winter because it's in Iowa. We're stuck inside for 3 months. Last year was a dad joke website. I broke something on the website. I troubleshot and fixed a WordPress plugin using ChatGPT, and now the website works again.
That's fantastic.
um,
Even more so, like what's the URL for your dad joke website so all of our listeners
data
can go and share in the fun.
database.co.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it's like I was running out of content, so I haven't been good about updating it. I'm working through ChatGPT to figure out how to automate creating the posts because I
Love
have this
it.
big giant spreadsheet of all these dad jokes I've collected over the years, and that's the thing. I have to go in and manually create a post every single day, and I'm like, this is like I just gave up like halfway through the year.
Yeah.
So now I'm working through and going to figure out how to automate it, creating the posts
Understandable.
from the spreadsheets.
Something fun, Nick, is we do a Friday wins at Coterie every week where we get the whole company together, just kind of celebrate what went well, how we're exceeding customer expectations, and then also we kind of kick those off with an employee that introduces themselves, and then there's at least 3 to 4 dad jokes just to get people warmed up. So
Yeah.
Maybe your website can feed us some new content because sometimes it feels like we're getting dry.
There may or may not be a database Slack bot coming.
Ooh.
If I can figure out the API. Yeah. And that's like, I have a couple of WordPress plugins I created several years ago. I've had my own startups. I've had, led companies. So I've got a wide depth of background in tech. So it's always fun to see this stuff and go, well, this is cool. Let's figure it out.
It is super cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I want to give you just a few minutes now to do your plug for Better Agency. What are you guys doing? What are you excited about? What's in the near future that you can share that will get people excited to engage with Better?
So I've been with the company since June 1st was my official start date. And I think one of the things that we were missing was the comparative rater. We launched that rater the end of last year in December. We had that first beta launch. I just got an email this afternoon of the next round of carriers that are coming online. That was, I think, a huge because I listened to all of our, I listened not all, but I listened to a lot of discovery calls and a lot of demo calls with our team. And that was the thing where people were like, how do I get the data and get a quote without double entry, without making my team do double entry? And I think that's the most exciting thing we're working on is getting all of that and getting to a place, where you can get the information, get the quote, and get the proposal set out in minutes versus sometimes I worked for, when I worked for Cover Desk, I also worked with Andy's agency. Quoting's a pain in the butt.
It is. Yeah.
Even if you have if you have, some of the other raters out there, getting the quote is one thing, but then you got to get the proposal out to them. You got to get the quote in their hands. I think I'm looking forward to when all of those systems are more tightly combined. And when Nick told me we were launching the rater, I was like, thank goodness, because that's our number one objection is you don't have a rater.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. If you eliminate your number one objection, I'm just looking forward to seeing your sales just go like hockey stick right up, right? Well, it should be exciting.
It was, as soon as we announced it, lead volume just went right back up. And it's usually December's not a good month. And just having that launch was perfect timing for us to get, everybody reinvigorated, and having something to email prospects about was a good thing.
That's awesome. Well, congrats to you and the team. Looking forward to seeing your growth as a result of that. If folks want to get in touch with Better Agency because they're interested in what you guys are doing or want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
If you want to get in touch with Better Agency, go to betteragency.io. If you want to get in touch with me, Twitter and LinkedIn, it's Nicholas Berry, NiCholosBerry for both of those, or Nick Berry, but there's a ton of Nick Berries, so I just created a handle that's really long, so it's less likely. But that's other than that, those are, I'm on Twitter all the time. Probably, I'm sure Will and Nick see me on Twitter and be like, does this guy ever work? But when you're sitting there waiting for a meeting to start.
Twitter's turned into a really great place for thought leadership in insurance. I'm on Twitter quite a bit too. In fact, I think there's like more candor and better ideas that come through Twitter than LinkedIn at times. So it's fun. Appreciate you being a part of that community. Well, Nick, it was so great to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for taking some time just to share your thoughts with our audience and with our agency partners and how they can run a better agency, quite frankly. No plug for you there, no pun intended, but thanks again. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, Bobbie.
Thank you for listening to the And I Quote podcast, brought to you by Coterie Insurance.
We will be hosting episodes with industry experts on a variety of trending topics this year and would really love for you to listen and subscribe.
Coterie Insurance is on a mission to simplify small business insurance for agents, brokers, and our partners. To learn more about Coterie Insurance and this episode, please visit our show notes below.